Every Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, or any time we were going to have chicken and cornbread dressing, it was always my job to prepare it. My mom always put a little too much meat in hers, or hers came out really different every time. So since I was about 15, she gave me the task of putting together the cornbread dressing. And honey, did I do it up. So today I'm going to show you this recipe. I've been making this for years and it always is a hit. Now, some people will tell you that you have to make your cornbread from scratch in order to get a good cornbread dressing, but that is not true. I have always used the packet because it was just easier. And I feel like once you add all the seasonings, the broth, the chicken, herbs, all that stuff, really the flavor of the cornbread just becomes masked. So I don't even worry about it. But if you want to use homemade, feel free to use your favorite recipe. But I'll link a plain cornbread recipe in the description box. Now to these 3 packages of the Sister Martha white cornbread, I am going to add 2 eggs, 2 cups of milk, and 1/4 cup of oil. I'm going to mix this together and then I'm just going to cook this according to the package instructions. I have had my cast iron skillet, aka Sister Mabel, just heating up with a little bit of that butter flavored shortening. Now you do not want to heat up your skillet with butter, that will burn. You can use vegetable oil though. The cornbread is done and I just can never help just sampling a little bit of the cornbread. And here's one thing I can guarantee you. This cornbread tastes terrible. Y'all, straight, this packet, just like it is just not good. The only thing I think it is good for is cornbread dressing. But don't be discouraged. I'm telling you, it is going to make a bomb dressing. Now, I have 4 leg quarters. I like using that because that's just a cheap cut of meat and I love that dark meat. I have celery, carrots, onion, and garlic. Now, I do leave the skin on the garlic and the onion, and that is because they're going to add a good flavor. You're going to pick this out, so it's not like you're going to taste it in your dressing. Since you are leaving the skin on your veggies, you just want to make sure you scrub them really well just to make sure they're super clean. I'm also going to add in some bay leaves, some peppercorn. I love to add bouillon cubes. Even though the bone and the skin of the chicken will make a good broth, the bouillon cubes just add a little extra oomph and extra umami to the broth. And really, this broth is really what is going to make the dressing. So you do not want to skimp in any way. I love this chicken seasoning, but you can use any chicken seasoning that you like that has a mixture of garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, and maybe some herbs thrown in there. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of poultry seasoning. This has a little bit of sage in it, but you can just use sage if you want. I like a little rosemary and thyme. I'm going to cover this, let this come to a boil, and then I'm going to reduce this to a simmer and let this cook for about 1 hour. At that point, the chicken should be ready to fall apart. However, I like to concentrate the flavor of the broth. So I'm going to let this cook uncovered for about 30 more minutes. After that time, I'm going to strain it and then I'm going to pick out the little, vegetable pieces and the bone and the skin. And of course, baby, you better not throw away that meat. Okay, that's the good stuff. I am not going to put the carrots into my dressing. I'm just going to eat those, but I am going to just take the celery bits and throw that in the dressing. Now, I love some butter. Baby, I'm country. We like butter on everything. So I'm going to put some butter, some celery, and some onion in a skillet. And I am going to start to saute this for about 3 to 4 minutes. I don't like my veggies to be crunchy. You could also add in some bell pepper, but I just didn't do that. Into this, I'm going to add a little bit more of that poultry seasoning. And then I'm going to let that just bloom and get very aromatic for about 30 seconds. You guys are going to have to excuse my bowl. I know it looked greasy, but I picked the chicken in this bowl and I wasn't going to wash it because I didn't want to lose that seasoning. All right. So into my bowl, I am going to add some cream of onion. You could add cream of celery, cream of mushroom, but I'm also going to use a can of cream of chicken. I think these two taste really good together in a dressing. I pretty much can only find this cream of onion at a Food Lion. So if you have Food Lion or a store like that near you, I would check there. I've added in my onion and celery from the skillet, and now I'm putting in some broth. Now I have done y'all a favor, and y'all ought to go ahead and subscribe and give me a like just for this. I am going to measure the amount of broth I am going to use. All right, so I added in a little bit of time, but I made sure that I got the measurement for you. In total, I ended up using 3.5 cups of broth. You may end up needing a little bit less, so just add in a little bit of a time until you get a similar texture as you see as mine. That is really the key. It needs to look similar. You may end up needing a little bit less because your cornbread might be more moist. Something I really like about some good chicken and cornbread dressing is that it can really stand as a main dish or a side dish. There's a lot of chicken in this dressing, so if you pair this with a little cranberry relish, honestly, I don't use gravy because this is so moist, but you could use some gravy as well as some green beans, maybe a little macaroni and some collard greens. I really feel like this would be an excellent main dish. I adjusted the seasonings of this dressing to my own taste, and then I have the final product here. Check me out, check me out. This is what you're going for, right? Now, I do like to add in 2 beaten eggs. My mama has taught me to do this. I always do this. I know some of y'all gonna say, I don't know why you added more eggs to the dressing. It's already in the cornbread. Honey, I was raised to do this, and I'm not going to stop. I have picked that chicken off the bone, and I also picked apart the celery pieces. I made sure I got out any of the pieces of chicken skin and that there was no bones in this meat. Baby, if someone bite into this and get a piece of chicken bone, honey, they are going to talk about you. Baby, they gonna say, oh, she thought she was doing something, but look, she up in here making these rookie mistakes. See, don't do that. See, you don't want to be like that. All right. So I'm gently folding this chicken and celery into my cornbread mixture. I am going to bake this cornbread dressing in the same cast iron skillet, aka Sister Mabel, that I made my cornbread in. I greased it up with a little bit of butter because I want those edges to get nice and crispy. Honestly, when it comes to the cornbread dressing, I be going only for the edges. And thankfully in a cast iron skillet, it's a whole bunch of them. However, you could just prepare this in one of those aluminum pans from the store to make that cleanup easy. Because if you go into a potluck or you have a big crowd over, we ain't trying to do all those dishes. You can also use a glass casserole dish. That will work perfectly fine as well. However, you just kind of adjust the cooking time based on the dish that you use. I baked this at 375 degrees for between 55 minutes to 60 minutes until the top was nice and golden brown and it was a great crust. Y'all, this cornbread dressing is so good. You're going to have to tell me, what are you going to serve with this? Honey, I just took this like it was with a little cranberry relish, little green beans, and baby, I was good to go. I hope you all know that I love you and Jesus loves you, and I'm going to see you next time on Camirra's Kitchen. Goodbye and God bless.